Yo, what's going on YouTube? My name is Sweat if you guys are new, and welcome back to another Apex Legends video. In today's video, you guys already know the most requested video on my channel by far. It's been a kind of a tradition around here. It's been my most popular video every single season, and that is my settings. What are my Season 6 settings? And what are the best Season 6 settings for controller players to run in order to get the most out of their game, in order to get the highest possible KD? Obviously, got to play smart, you got to play productively, but you have to have good settings, and that is really just the base of it all, in my opinion. So comment down below right now why you're on this video, why you're asking about settings, or why you're looking up best settings. Are you struggling with your accuracy? Are you struggling with your movement? Let me know down in the comments below. Without further ado, guys, let's hop into the best console Season 6 Apex Legends settings. Alright guys, before we start this settings video, I do want to say that my settings in Season 6 are pretty similar to the ones that I were rocking in Season 5. But what I'm going to try to do in this video is explain to you which settings that you should have on for certain types of playstyles, if you're colorblind or not, stuff like that. Just I want to go in depth and make sure that you guys have the best possible settings for your playstyle to maximize your potential. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Starting off here at the settings right here. Interact prompt style, we are on the gameplay tab, by the way. Interact prompt style, we have that on default. I just like how that looks a little bit better. Display more or less information about weapons and items on the ground, default or compact. Compact is just going to make it a little more simpler. So let me click on compact and you guys are going to see the difference. So right here it just says like X to pick up on the Phoenix kit. It's a little more clean than on default. Let me go back to default and you guys are going to see the difference right here. It shows you the image of the Phoenix kit, and also it obviously says pickup, so it really just takes away that Phoenix kit image, that purple image that you guys are seeing right there. And it's the same thing with everything, it just shows that big thing in the way. So if you want it to be a little bit cleaner, then I would turn that off, but if not, then I would keep that on default. Button hints are going to be off for me. All that does is at the bottom of your screen, it just shows you, you see where it says wingman and prowler, it shows Y. That just really shows what button to press, and I've pretty experienced with the game, so I'm going to have that off. Crosshair damage feedback is a big one that a lot of people will disagree on. I like having this off because I personally can see the enemy more clearly, and without this off, with it on, okay, I'm going to put it on X with shield icon. You can see right in the middle of my screen when I shoot, there is an X that pops up when I hit a bullet. Right there again, right there again. You see that big X that's popping up? When I have that off, okay, what that's going to do is just make it a little bit cleaner, in my opinion, and it doesn't show anything. It just shows your crosshair, and it just looks a little bit cleaner, in my opinion. So that is why I have that option on off. A lot of people will have that on. That is totally preference. Honestly, this whole gameplay page is a lot of preference. Damage numbers I have on stacking. You can see when I shoot some bullets here, it'll just add them all up so I don't have to do the math in my head. If you want that differently, if you want that on floating, it'll show every number individually. So I definitely recommend have that on stacking or on both, because you don't want to do the math in the heat of a gunfight in your head. Okay, you want it to pop up on the screen, and that shows both obviously, but I do not like clutter on my screen, so we're gonna have that on stacking. If you really want to get crazy, you could turn that off and then you're gonna see no damage numbers, but I like to call out to my teammates if somebody's one shot or if they have broken armor and stuff like that. So on to ping opacity, I have this on faded, and the reason I have this on faded is because I like to see through the pings. Okay, if a ping is in my way and an enemy pings like an armor or something, I can't see past it unless it's on faded. So that's why I have that on partially transparent most of the time. Faded is the option to go with there. Obituaries, you can have this on or off, does not really matter, it all depends. If you want to see your buddy's box in the game, then I would definitely have obituaries on, but if you want to have that off, that is totally preference. Minimap rotation, that is when you change, when you change directions, your player changes directions. I'm going to turn this on just to show you what it does. Oh, we don't have a minimap in the freaking firing range. I'm an idiot. So all this does is switches your minimap. When you turn a certain direction, it will turn with you. So I have that off. I've always played with my minimap being the same way throughout Call of Duties. All throughout the years I've had it like this, so I'm going to keep that off. Weapon auto cycle on empty, I have this on off, and the reason I do have this on off is because sometimes when your weapon's on empty, I don't want it to switch. Okay, I don't want it to switch right away, and that's why I have it on off. And I've like I said earlier, I've been pretty experienced in this game. I've been playing this game since the beginning of Season 1, before Season 1 even came out. And I know exactly when to switch my weapon when I'm out of ammo, so I have that on off. Now, auto sprint I have on, and the reason that I have this on is because I have my little kunai here. I have my heirloom for Wraith, and the only real way to spin the heirloom over and over again is to have auto sprint on, and I can do this by tapping left on my D-pad over and over again, and this is how you guys can see me spinning my kunai over and over and over. So I really haven't noticed that much of a difference with auto sprint, though. It really doesn't come into play as much as I thought before in previous seasons when I told you guys to have that off. And if you guys think about it, tapping down on your left thumbstick, it's kind of saving your thumb a little bit. So I have that on, and onto double tap sprint, that is off. I don't like having a double tap to sprint, especially, obviously, we have auto sprint on, so we don't need double tap to sprint on. Incoming damage feedback, I have that on 3D. Taking damage closes death box menu. This is going to be off, and this is huge. If you guys want to shield swap, especially like on PC or on console, I mean, console is kind of rough to shield swap on, but the best opportunity to shield swap is going to be having this off, okay? Because if you get hit with one bullet while you're in the menu, it's going to take you out if you have that on. So keep that off. Make sure you keep that off. All right, everybody, on to the hop-up, pop-up. I have this on. I'm not quite sure exactly what this does. I turn this on, I turn this off, and I don't really notice too much of a difference. It says determines if the hop-up, pop-up UI element will show when a hop-up is attached to a weapon. And I haven't really noticed a difference between off and on, to be honest. Let me know in the comments down below if you notice a difference between having this on or off, or if it's a big deal or not. I don't think it's a huge deal, so we're just going to move on from that. Streamer mode. That is off. They still have not made a streamer mode to hide people's names if you want your name hidden. So I don't know what is good with that, when they should come out with that. But come on, Play Apex. Get on that ASAP. Usage sharing, I have that enabled. Colorblind mode, this is a huge one. This has saved so many people. In the comment section below, I made a whole video about colorblind. And so many people said they can see things more clearly. The colors are more vibrant. And that is why I have this on Tritanopia colorblind settings. Even though I want to stress, I am not colorblind, okay? It just makes the colors more vibrant, and that is why I have on Tritanopia. Subtitles I have off. Subtitle size obviously doesn't matter because I have that off. And enable accessible chat features, I have that off. Now we are going to move on to the controller settings, the portion of the video where a lot of people want to see. And I'm going to tell you right now, not too many things have changed since last season, but I am going to explain in depth on what each of these things mean. Okay, so first of all, button layout. I have this on default. I do have a scuff controller, so I can play on default. But if you do not have a scuff controller and you play claw, or there's so many things that you can do, like change this up however you want. So play around with it. Make sure that the button layout works for you. There's bumper jumper, button puncher, evolved, grenadier, I don't even know how to say that, ninja, customize. I've seen people play on bumper jumper, button puncher, evolved, ninja. I've never seen people play on grenadier or grenader or whatever the hell it's called. I've never seen anybody play on that, but just mess around and get those settings to your liking, guys. Interact reload button. I like to have this on tap to use in reload. I don't like to have to hold down my button to reload my weapon all the way through, so I have that on tap to reload. Crouch button, I do have this on hold, and that is again because I have a scuff controller. So all I have to do is tap my paddle, and I can crouch spam faster than 90% of the player base because I do have the scuff controller, and I'm very fortunate to have this. But if you don't have a scuff controller and you want to try to crouch spam, I think the option to have on is on toggle, because I've heard, obviously, if you don't have the paddles, it's easier to crouch spam on toggle. So if you don't have a scuff, keep that on toggle. If you do have a scuff, I would recommend trying that on hold and seeing how you like it. Aim button right here, we have this on hold. I just like the feel of holding down my trigger. It's like a Call of Duty feel instead of, like, you know, there's options in PUBG and options in other games where you can do two types of aim modes and one is just going to be toggle. And I don't like that, to be honest with you, so I have that on hold. Trigger dead zones, I have this on none right now. I've explained this so many times in previous videos, previous settings videos, that if I have my trigger dead zones on none and you have yours on max, I'm going to win the gunfight 90% of the time as long as I hit my bullets, okay? What it's going to do is as soon as I hit my triggers, it's going to shoot the gun. And if it's on max, it's going to take a little bit longer. It's going to have a little bit of a delay. So that's why I would recommend keeping trigger dead zones on none. Menu cursor speed, I moved this up since the last season. I have gotten more comfortable with the menu cursor speed. At the beginning, I would recommend putting it about a quarter of the way up and then raising it up and figuring out what feels right. Okay, as long as you can control the menu cursor speed, then it should be fine. So just keep raising that up until you have a good speed there and you can shield swap quickly, get to items quickly, and so forth. Look sensitivity right here, I have this on 6, and my look sensitivity ADS, I have that on 3. I feel like 6 is a really good sensitivity to have for up close engagements, for hip firing, and also for grabbing loot. It is very good to have that on 6. If you don't want to have that on 6, it's a little too high, obviously bump that down to 5, or if it's a little too low, bump that up to 7. Out of the ADS sensitivity, I have this on 3. This can get a little slow up close, I have noticed. So if you want to mess around and pop over to 4, or if that's even a little bit slow for you, then go to 5. But I wouldn't recommend going any lower than 3. I have this on 3 because it's very effective at long range. I can shoot a G7 across the map with very, very little movement on my ADS, or a 301 even from far away, very little movement. That's why I have that on 3. But overall, I'd recommend 5 to ADS. Okay, I'd recommend 3 to 5, and then for look sensitivity, I would recommend 5 to 7. That is just my personal preference, though. Try it out on your own. Make sure you like the feel of it. We're gonna move on to per optic settings. Okay, I have my 1x sight. That is gonna be my iron sights, and my 1x, I have that on 3, which is my normal ADS sensitivity. My 2x optic, I bump everything else up to 5. Okay, because once you hit the 2x optic, it gets a little bit slower. You're gonna notice it gets a little bit slower. You can even run the 4 sensitivity on the 2x if you want to control it a little bit better. But I feel like the 5 is perfect for all of these, honestly. And I've even seen a couple people run like 6 all the way up at 8x and the 10x. But when are you ever really picking up the 8 to 10x scope? Unless it's a Kraber anyway. So that really isn't too meaningful. But I like to have it on 5. So that is where it is gonna stay. All right, moving on to response curve right now. I just love classic response curve. I've had classic response curve on for the past 2 seasons. I did try linear before that, and my only problem with linear, your wingman shots are going to be really good with linear. Your up close shots are going to be really good with linear, but your long range, long distance shots with linear are going to be really tough to control. And I figured that out after the long run. When I switched back to classic, I can hit shots from so much further away and so much more accurately with classic. And on to look dead zone. Okay, we have this on none right now. If your controller has a little bit of stick drift, I would turn this on small. But if you're running a classic response curve and your stick does not drift, I would definitely recommend putting this on none. It does make a difference. Try it out on your own. Try out small, try out large, and you guys are going to see a big difference in your gameplay. I would recommend highly having this on classic and none. But if you want to run linear, then there is one thing I have to say about running linear. You might want to put this on small because the controller dead zone, or the freaking, watch this. Look at how much drift I have. I'm not hitting anything on my controller on linear. That is absolutely ridiculous. And linear is just, it's just crazy, man. I can barely control it now since I've been running classic, but look when I put on small dead zone. Nothing happens, okay? There's absolutely no stick drift, so make sure that is why you're going to want to put that on small if you're running linear. But right now, I'm running classic and none, and you can see it doesn't move at all. It does not do anything. Alrighty, on to movement dead zone. I have this on small. Once again, if you have a lot of stick drift, you might want to turn this on to large. Inverted look, I have that off. I've always played without inverted look on. But if you played any like flying games or any stuff like that, or just inverted your whole life, then you might want to turn that on. Vibration, I do have that off. That just bothers my hands when it vibrates. It's just a distraction in my opinion, so I have that off. On to advanced look controls. We obviously have that off, but if you want to mess around with these, there's a lot of in-depth options you can turn on in here. And these are just some settings that I was messing around with a couple times. And I honestly didn't like it. I felt like the advanced look controls were messing up. Like every couple of days I'd have to tweak something or adjust something, and I just didn't want to do that. So I have these settings on normal. I have it on 6.3 classic, no dead zone. Onto the video settings, I have my brightness right in the middle. I have my field of view at 102. I would recommend putting your field of view, like I've said in the past many times, to anywhere from 90 to 104 would be what I would say to go with. If you put it too high, you're not going to be able to see targets from far away. And if you put it all the way down low at 70, then everything's going to be way too close and you're not going to be able to see your surroundings. Let's just put it at 70. You guys can get a gauge as to what it looks like here. It's way too far in, and it's just ridiculous. You can barely, like, right now on my screen I can see this target, this target, this target, this target while I'm looking straight. All right, let me move up to right here. And then when I change that back to my normal settings, okay, 102, now I can see these targets over here, 1, 2, and this one over here, just by looking straight. So that is a huge difference. You definitely want to have that above 70. Do not keep that on 70. And it also gives me a massive headache when I play on 70. So definitely move that up. Sprint view shake, I have that on minimal. And obviously that's just going to reduce the shaking of your screen when you're sprinting. Pretty self-explanatory. Onto the audio, that is totally preference. You can copy mine. You can use your own. Do whatever. But anyways, guys, that is the video. That is my Season 6 settings. And honestly, I think that is the best Season 6 settings to run on controller. Let me know what you guys think down below. If these settings work, let me know. And yeah, guys, this is my most requested video, so I thought I would bring you the Season 6 settings. I hope you guys did enjoy, and it's been Sweat. I will catch you in the next video. Peace out, guys.